Let it all sink, like the lies you built it on.
The first thing you need to know about finding your wife's pregnancy test in another man's bathroom is that it changes the taste of your morning coffee forever. I'm standing there in Grant Sheffield's penthouse powder room, holding a pink plastic stick that might as well be a loaded tool, and all I can think is how my dad always said rich people's toilets smell like money. Turns out they smell like betrayal too. My name is Tom Harrington, and 3 minutes ago I thought I was here to give an estimate on water damage repair. Now I'm holding proof that my wife Madison has been playing house with her boss while I've been fixing actual houses for a living. The irony tastes like copper pennies. The test shows 2 lines, positive. Madison's been trying to get pregnant for 2 years, crying every month when nothing happened. Guess she just needed the right guy. Tom, you still up there? Grant's voice floats up from downstairs, all casual confidence. Like he's not currently destroying my life one lie at a time. I slip the test into my jacket pocket and flush the toilet for show. In the mirror, I look like what I am, a 38-year-old guy who fixes things for people who can afford to break them. Brown hair that needs cutting, hands that know work, eyes that apparently don't know my own wife. Walking downstairs, I study Grant Sheffield like I'm pricing him for repairs. 6'4", silver hair, teeth that cost more than my truck. Former hockey player turned real estate king. The kind of guy who probably calls his secretary sweetheart and gets away with it. So what's the damage? Grant asks, gesturing toward the water-stained ceiling. I want to say 18 years of marriage and my last shred of dignity, but instead I pull out my clipboard. Pipe burst upstairs. You're looking at drywall replacement, paint, maybe some floor refinishing. Call it 4,000. Sounds reasonable. Madison speaks highly of your work. There it is. The casual mention, like my wife's name belongs in his mouth. Like they discuss my competence over pillow talk. She's good at recommendations, I say. Because what else do you say when you're standing in your wife's lover's house pretending you don't know they're planning a baby together? Grant pours himself whiskey from a crystal decanter. Doesn't offer me any. She mentioned you two are trying for kids. Any luck? The question hits like a hockey puck to the solar plexus. I manage a shrug. These things take time. Sure do. Sometimes you need the right conditions. His smile could cut glass. I finish the estimate and head home to my modest 2-story on Elm Street, the house Madison and I bought when we thought forever meant something. She's in the kitchen, gorgeous as always in that untouchable way that used to make me feel lucky and now makes me feel like a tenant. How'd it go with Grant? She asks, without looking up from her laptop. Fine. Water damage. Nothing I can't handle. She nods, still typing. Madison works in HR for Sheffield Development, Grant's company. Officially, she's a director. Unofficially, she's apparently the boss's baby mama. I might be late tomorrow, she says. Team meeting. I bet there is. Team building exercises in the executive suite. That night, I lie awake listening to Madison breathe beside me, wondering how long this has been going on. Wondering if she ever feels guilty climbing into bed with the man whose house she's helping to wreck while she wrecks ours. The next morning, I do what any rational man would do. I follow her. Madison drives her BMW to Sheffield Development like always, but instead of going inside, she parks behind the building and walks 3 blocks to the Marriott. I watch from across the street as she takes the elevator up. 20 minutes later, Grant Sheffield walks into the same hotel. They stay for 2 hours. When she comes home that evening, humming and showered, I'm waiting with 2 glasses of wine and the pregnancy test. Found this in Grant's bathroom, I say. The color drains from her face, then floods back red. For a second I think she might deny it. Instead, she laughs. Well, that's inconvenient. Not I'm sorry. Not I can explain, just inconvenient. How long? I ask. Does it matter? It matters to me. She sips her wine like we're discussing vacation plans. 6 months, maybe 7. 7 months. While I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for her gym membership and designer handbags, she was working on her back for a promotion. The baby isn't yours. She says it like she's commenting on the weather. I stare at this woman I married, this stranger wearing Madison's face. Why? Because you're not enough, Tom. You fix broken things. Grant builds empires. I built this marriage. You built a prison. Grant built me a future. The wine tastes like ashes. What happens now? Madison stands up, smooths her skirt. Now you move out. Grant's having some associates come by tomorrow to help you pack. This is my house too. Not anymore. I've had papers drawn up. Turns out there's a clause about adultery that voids certain property agreements. A cold rush hits me. You're accusing me of adultery. Screenshots are so convenient these days. Doctored photos, fake dating profiles. Amazing what technology can do. Her smile is arctic. Pack light, Tom. You won't need much where you're going. The next day, I come home from a job to find a moving truck in my driveway and 2 men the size of refrigerators loading my stuff into boxes. One of them, built like a concrete mixer with facial hair, introduces himself as Victor. Mrs. Harrington says you're relocating, Victor says in an accent that suggests he learned English from watching action movies. Mrs. Harrington is mistaken. No mistake, you have 1 hour. I call the police. They say it's a civil matter. I call my lawyer. He says the paperwork looks legitimate and I need to comply until we can sort it out in court. I call Madison. She doesn't answer. An hour later, Victor and his partner are loading the last of my belongings. My tools, my clothes, my father's watch collection, everything that makes me me, packed into boxes like evidence. Where am I supposed to go? I ask. Victor shrugs. Not my problem. They drive away with my life in the back of a truck. Madison's BMW pulls into the driveway as I'm standing there with nothing but my wallet and the clothes on my back. She gets out wearing a dress I bought her for our anniversary. Sorry about the mess, Tom. Change is never easy. Madison, please, we can work this out. We already did. She holds up a key I don't recognize. Grant had the locks changed. For security. Security from what? From my own house. From maltreatment. Victor documented you becoming aggressive during the move. You wouldn't want the police to think you're unstable. Behind her, Grant's Escalade pulls up. He gets out like he owns the world, which apparently includes my wife and my house. Everything goes smoothly? He asks Madison. Smooth as silk, she says, kissing his cheek. Grant looks at me like I'm a stray dog. Tom, sorry it came to this. Business is business. This isn't business. This is my marriage. Was your marriage, past tense. He puts his arm around Madison's waist, rests his hand on her still flat belly. We're thinking about the future now. They walk into my house together. The door closes behind them with a sound like a coffin lid. I stand in my own driveway like a ghost, haunting his former life, holding nothing, owning nothing, being nothing. Then it starts to rain. I spend the first night in my truck in a Walmart parking lot, learning that heartbreak smells like French fries and disappointment. By morning, I've made 3 decisions. I'm not going quietly. I'm not going broke. And I'm not going crazy. I'm going to war. The thing about being a contractor is you learn to see what's broken and how to fix it. Sometimes fixing means rebuilding. Sometimes it means tearing down first. I start with reconnaissance. Madison and Grant aren't exactly hiding their affair anymore. They're at the country club, holding hands over brunch. They're at the theater, her head on his shoulder. They're at Whole Foods, arguing over organic kale like an old married couple. I follow them because that's what you do when someone steals your life. You document the theft. After 3 days of surveillance, I know their routine better than they do. Madison has lunch with her girlfriends, Courtney and Lana, every Tuesday at the Bistro on 5th Street. They sit at the same table, order the same salads, and spend 2 hours dissecting everyone they know like they're performing surgery. On Tuesday, I take a table close enough to overhear and far enough away to avoid recognition. Madison's friends are exactly what you'd expect: blonde, Botoxed, and bored. "So how's married life treating you?" Courtney asks, stabbing her Caesar salad. "Better now that I've upgraded the husband," Madison says. They all laugh like she's made a joke instead of destroyed a person. "Tom seemed nice enough," Lana offers. "Tom was adequate. Grant is exceptional." Madison sips her wine. "Tom fixes toilets. Grant builds cities." "What about the baby?" Courtney lowers her voice conspiratorially. "Due in 6 months. Grant's over the moon. And Tom?" Madison's laugh could freeze vodka. "Tom's wherever losers go when they finally figure out they're losers, probably crying into a beer somewhere." She's not wrong about the beer part, but I'm not crying. I'm planning. That afternoon, I drive to Sheffield Development and park across the street. The building is glass and steel, reaching toward the sky like Grant's ego. Madison's BMW is in the executive parking section, right next to Grant's Escalade. I watch employees come and go, noting faces, patterns, schedules. At 5:30, Madison and Grant emerge together. She's carrying his briefcase. He's got his hand on her lower back, possessive and proud. They drive to his penthouse in separate cars but park next to each other. Cozy. I follow them up to the 32nd floor, taking the service elevator while they take the express. By the time they're opening champagne on the balcony, I'm in the utility room checking the building's systems: water pressure, electrical panels, HVAC controls, security cameras. You'd be amazed what you can learn about a building when everyone assumes you belong there. Wear work clothes and carry a clipboard, and you're invisible. Grant's penthouse has a sprinkler system connected to the main water line. It also has very expensive furniture, imported rugs, and about $50,000 worth of art on the walls. Water damage can be devastating, especially when it happens repeatedly. The first flood happens on Thursday. I time it for 2 a.m., when Grant and Madison are deep asleep in the master bedroom. The sprinkler system activates in the living room, kitchen, and guest bathroom. Water everywhere. Rugs destroyed. Electronics fried. Drywall soaked. By the time building maintenance shuts off the water, Grant's lost about $30,000 in damages. I get the call Friday morning. "Tom, it's Grant Sheffield. I need you to come look at some water damage." "What kind of damage?" "Sprinkler malfunction. Made a real mess." "I'll be right over." I arrive with my toolkit and clipboard, playing the professional contractor. Grant looks like he hasn't slept, which makes sense since he probably spent half the night mopping water. "Came out of nowhere," he says, leading me through the soggy penthouse. "System just went haywire." I examine the damage with the serious expression of a man who fixes things for a living. "Sensor malfunction, probably. These automated systems are temperamental." "Can you fix it?" "The sensor, sure." "The damage?" I gesture around the destroyed room. "You're looking at 2 weeks minimum, 40, 50,000 easy." Grant's face goes red. 50,000? Water's tricky. Seeps into everything. You've got mold concerns, structural issues. Can't rush this kind of work. I spend 2 hours documenting the damage, taking pictures, making notes. Madison shows up around noon, surveys the destruction like a queen inspecting battlefield casualties. "How bad?" she asks Grant. "Bad enough." She looks at me like I'm a servant who's failed to prevent disaster. "Can't you work faster?" "I can work fast, or I can work right. Pick one." "Work right," Grant says. "I'll get the insurance adjuster out here." "Good idea. You might want to stay somewhere else while the work's being done. Water damage creates mold. Bad for pregnant women." Madison's hand goes to her belly instinctively. "How long?" "Month, maybe 2. Depends on what we find when we start pulling up floors." Grant looks like he wants to hit something, preferably me. After I leave, I drive straight to my sister Becca's house on the south side. Becca's 3 years younger than me, twice as smart, and works for the city planning department. She's also the only person who still takes my calls. "You look like heck," she says, letting me into her kitchen. "Feel worse?" She pours coffee without asking. "Heard about Madison. I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry, be angry." "Oh, I'm angry. She's been telling people you cheated on her. Got proof and everything." The coffee tastes bitter. "Photoshopped proof." "I figured. You're too boring to cheat." "Thanks for the pep talk." Becca sits across from me, studies my face. "What are you planning, Tommy?" "Planning to rebuild my life." "By tearing down theirs?" "Sometimes you have to demo before you can renovate." She nods slowly. "What do you need?" "Building permits for Sheffield development, inspection schedules. Anything public record." "Why?" "Because Grant Sheffield is about to learn the difference between building an empire and maintaining one." Becca disappears into her home office and comes back with a manila folder. "Grant's got 3 major projects in development, 2 residential, 1 commercial. City's been rubber stamping his permits for years." I flip through the paperwork. Shopping centre on the east side. Luxury condos downtown. A strip mall renovation in the suburbs. What would happen if someone reported code violations? Inspections, work stoppages, delays. She grins. Expensive delays. How expensive? Depends how many violations they find. Monday morning, I make 3 anonymous calls to the building department. By Tuesday afternoon, all 3 of Grant's projects are shut down pending inspection. By Wednesday, I'm getting another call. "Tom, it's Grant. I need to see you." "About the penthouse?" "About everything." We meet at a diner on Industrial Boulevard, the kind of place where coffee comes in thick white mugs and the pie is older than the waitress. Grant looks like he hasn't slept since Thursday. "Someone's sabotaging my projects," he says without preamble. "That's rough." Anonymous tips about code violations. Suddenly, inspectors are crawling all over my sites like ants. I stir sugar into my coffee. "Maybe someone's jealous of your success. Maybe someone's trying to ruin me." "Who'd want to do that?" Grant leans forward. His breath smells like antacid and desperation. "Let me ask you something, Tom. If someone destroyed your marriage, took your house, stole your wife, how far would you go to get even?" "I'd probably fix the sprinkler system first." His eyes narrow. "You son of a witch. Language, Grant. We're in public. You think you're clever, flooding my apartment, shutting down my projects. I think you're paranoid. Maybe the stress of being a new father is getting to you." Grant's hand moves toward his jacket. For a second, I think he might be carrying. Then he pulls out his phone. "Victor?" "Yeah, it's me. I need you to handle something." He hangs up and smiles. "You know what your problem is, Tom? You think small, I think big. While you're playing with sprinklers, I'm playing with fire. Meaning? Meaning accidents happen. Especially to people who work with dangerous tools. The threat hangs in the air like smoke." I finish my coffee and stand up. "Thanks for the warning. I'll be more careful." "You better be." I leave Grant in the diner, but I can feel his eyes following me to my truck. In the rearview mirror, I see him making another phone call. That night, someone breaks into my storage unit and destroys $10,000 worth of equipment, saws with cut cables, nail tools with bent firing pins, levels smashed like they were hit with sledgehammers. The message is clear: back off or things get worse. I get a different message: it's working. The second flood happens the following Friday. This time I hit the electrical room, shorting out the entire 32nd floor. Grant's penthouse goes dark, along with 4 other apartments. Emergency lighting kicks in, but the elevators stop working and the security system fails. In the confusion, I slip into Grant's unit and plant a few surprises. Nothing dangerous. Just inconvenient. Bed bugs in the mattress, superglue in the door locks, a dead fish taped under the kitchen sink. By morning, Grant Sheffield's life smells like low tide and itches like poison ivy. I'm replacing a toilet in a rental property on Tuesday when my phone rings. Harrington Construction. Tom, it's Madison. My ex-wife's voice makes my chest tight. What do you want? We need to talk. I think we said everything already. Please. It's important. Against my better judgment, I agree to meet her at the park where we used to walk our old dog Max. She's sitting on a bench by the pond, looking smaller somehow. Still beautiful, but fragile in a way I've never seen before. You look tired, I say, sitting down but leaving space between us. Grant thinks you're trying to destroy him. Grant thinks a lot of things. Are you? I watch a duck paddle across the pond, unhurried and purposeful. I'm trying to rebuild my life. Sometimes that means clearing away the wreckage first. The flooding, the inspections, they're costing him millions. Business is risky. Madison turns to face me. Up close, I can see the stress lines around her eyes, the way her skin looks pale despite expensive makeup. He's getting desperate, Tom. Desperate men do stupid things. Is that a threat? It's a warning, from me to you. Because despite everything, I don't want you to get hurt. You already hurt me. Everything after this is just paperwork. She looks away. I never meant for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? Gradual betrayal? Slow motion devastation? I meant for you to find someone better. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Better than my wife, the woman I loved for 18 years, the one I built a life with. You built a cage, Tom. A beautiful cage, but still a cage. And Grant built you a what? A palace? He built me a future. He built you a lie. You think he'll stay faithful. You think you're special. You're employee number 12, Madison. Ask his first 2 wives how that worked out. Her face goes white. What do you mean? I mean, Grant Sheffield has a type, and it's not forever. It's for now. When you're 40 and tired from chasing a toddler, he'll be back at the office interviewing your replacement. Madison stands up abruptly. You're wrong. I'm experienced. There's a difference. She walks away without another word, leaving me alone with the ducks and my rage. That night, Victor pays me a visit. I'm eating dinner at my sister's house when the doorbell rings. Becca looks through the peephole and her face goes pale. There's a man outside who looks like he bench presses trucks for fun. I look for myself. Victor stands on the front porch like a monument to poor life choices. Go upstairs, I tell Becca. Tom, go. She disappears up the stairs as I open the door. Victor fills the frame like he's auditioning for a horror movie. We need to talk, he says in his action movie accent. About what? About you backing off. About you leaving Mr. Sheffield alone. I don't know what you mean. Victor steps inside without being invited. Up close, he smells like leather and violence. You know exactly what I mean. The floods, the inspections, the maltreatment. You'll have to be more specific. His hand snaps forward and grabs my shirt, lifting me onto my toes. I'm being as specific as I need to be. Get your hands off me. Or what? You'll call the police? Tell them what? That the big scary man hurt your feelings? I look into Victor's eyes and see nothing but cold professionalism. This isn't personal for him. It's just work. Grant's paying you to threaten me. Grant's paying me to solve problems. You're a problem. I'm a contractor. You're a pest, and pests get exterminated. He releases my shirt and I drop back down. Victor straightens his jacket like we've just shared a handshake instead of a threat. Mr. Sheffield is a reasonable man. Stop costing him money, and everyone stays healthy. And if I don't, Victor smiles, and it's like watching a shark practice table manners. Then we find out how good your health insurance is. After he leaves, Becca comes downstairs holding a baseball bat. Who is that? Grant's problem solver. What kind of problems does he solve? The permanent kind. She sits next to me on the couch, still clutching the bat. Tommy, maybe you should back off. This is getting dangerous. It was dangerous when they threw me out of my own house. It was dangerous when they destroyed my reputation. It was dangerous when they stole my life. But you're not dead. Yet. That's not funny. It's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be motivating. I stand up and pace to the window. Outside, the street looks peaceful. Normal. Like the world isn't actively trying to end me. I'm not backing down, Becca. They started this war. I'm going to finish it. How? I think about Grant's penthouse, dark and smelling like dead fish. About his construction projects, shut down and hemorrhaging cash. About Madison, finally seeing cracks in her perfect new life. By being better at their game than they are. The third flood happens during Grant's charity gala. Sheffield Development hosts an annual fundraiser for local schools. Black tie required, $500 a plate. Grant loves playing the philanthropist, writing checks and kissing babies for photo ops. This year he's especially excited because he's announcing his engagement to Madison. She'll be wearing a diamond the size of a skating rink and a dress that costs more than most people's cars. I know all this because I'm catering the event. Well, technically, Jace is catering the event. Jace Morrison owns Morrison's Catering, and he's been my best friend since we were 12. When I explain what I need, he doesn't ask questions. He just hands me a server's jacket and a name tag that says Mike. The gala is in the ballroom of the Riverside Hotel, all crystal chandeliers and imported marble. Grant's in a tuxedo that probably costs more than my truck. Madison's in midnight blue silk, her engagement ring catching light like a disco ball. They look perfect together, rich, beautiful, successful, like they stepped out of a magazine about people whose lives matter more than yours. I serve champagne and listen to conversations about stock portfolios and vacation homes. These people live in a different universe, one where money solves all problems and consequences are for poor people. At 9 o'clock, Grant takes the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Your generosity helps ensure that our local schools continue to provide excellence in education. Polite applause. Someone refills my champagne tray. But tonight isn't just about giving back to the community. It's also about celebrating the future. Grant reaches for Madison's hand, pulls her toward the microphone. I'm pleased to announce my engagement to the most beautiful, intelligent woman I've ever known. The crowd erupts in applause. Madison beams, holding up her ring for everyone to admire. We're also excited to share that we're expecting our first child this spring. More applause. Madison glows with the kind of happiness that comes from winning everything you ever wanted. I slip out of the ballroom and take the service elevator to the basement. The Riverside Hotel is old, built in the 1920s when they made things to last. The sprinkler system is original, cast iron pipes that snake through the walls like veins. All I need is access to the main control valve. Finding it takes 10 minutes. Opening it takes 30 seconds. By the time I'm back in the ballroom, water is dripping from the ceiling. At first, people ignore it. A few drops, probably condensation from the air conditioning. Then the drops become a trickle. The trickle becomes a stream. By the time Grant realizes what's happening, his perfect evening is raining disaster. Everyone remain calm, he says into the microphone, but his voice cracks. We seem to have a minor plumbing issue. Minor becomes major when the ceiling tile above the head table collapses, dumping 50 gallons of muddy water onto the prime rib and wedding cake. Chaos. Women screaming about their dresses. Men cursing about their tuxedos. The string quartet abandoning their instruments as water cascades from the chandelier. In the confusion, I grab the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention. The crowd quiets, expecting announcements about evacuation procedures or refunds. Instead, I tell them the truth. My name is Tom Harrington, and I used to be married to the beautiful bride-to-be you just applauded. Madison's face goes white. Grant pushes through the crowd toward the stage, but Victor's on the other side of the room, trapped behind a wall of fleeing socialites. Some of you know me. I fix your houses, repair your decks, unclog your toilets, blue-collar work, honest work. Work that apparently isn't good enough for some people. Get him off the stage, Grant shouts, but the hotel security is busy dealing with the flood. See, while I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for my wife's gym membership and designer handbags, she was working a different kind of job. The kind that happens in hotel rooms and requires taking your clothes off. Madison tries to run, but the crowd blocks her path. 500 witnesses, all staring at the woman who just got exposed in front of everyone who matters. And now they're getting married and having a baby. Isn't that sweet? True love conquers all, even wedding vows and marriage certificates. Grant reaches the stage, his face purple with rage. You psychotic piece of... Language, Grant. There are ladies present. Oh, wait, no there aren't. Just your pregnant mistress and the men who paid $500 to watch her fall from grace. I drop the microphone and walk through the crowd. People stare like I'm a zoo animal that's escaped its cage. Some look disgusted. Others look impressed. By the time hotel security arrives, I'm gone. The story makes the local news. Charity gala disrupted by revenge-seeking ex-husband. Grant and Madison become the couple who got publicly humiliated by a contractor with a grudge and access to the plumbing. But I'm not done yet. The final confrontation happens 3 days later. I'm at Becca's house watching the news coverage of Grant's latest problems when someone starts pounding on the front door. Not knocking, pounding, like they're trying to break it down with their fists. Becca peers through the peephole. It's Madison, and she looks insane. I open the door to find my ex-wife standing on the porch in jeans and a sweatshirt, her hair unwashed, her makeup smeared. This isn't the polished corporate executive I married. This is something broken and desperate. You destroyed everything, she says. I destroyed lies. Everything else was already broken. Grant fired me. He says I'm a liability. Smart man. My friends won't return my calls. My mother won't speak to me. Everyone thinks I'm a hoe. Technically, you're a former hoe. Now you're just unemployed. She slaps me, hard enough to make my ears ring. Feel better? I ask. I'm ruined, Tom. Completely ruined. Good. Now you know how I felt. Madison starts crying, the kind of desperate sobs that come from losing everything at once. For a second, I almost feel sorry for her. Then I remember 18 years of marriage flushed down the toilet. Please, she whispers. I'm pregnant. I have nowhere to go. Go to Grant. He's the father. Grant won't see me. His lawyers sent papers. He's denying paternity. Smart man. The baby is his. Prove it. She can't, and we both know it. Without Grant's money and protection, Madison is just another single mother with expensive taste and no marketable skills. What do you want me to do? I ask. Take me back. We can work this out. No, we can't. Why not? You loved me. I loved who I thought you were. That person never existed. Madison collapses onto the porch steps, crying into her hands. 18 years of marriage reduced to this. My cheating ex-wife begging for mercy she never showed me. I'm sorry, she whispers. I know you are. Sorry you got caught. Sorry you lost everything. Sorry the consequences finally caught up with you. That's not what I meant. It's what you mean. I go back inside and close the door. Through the window, I watch Madison sit on the porch for another 10 minutes before finally walking away. She looks smaller than when she arrived, like she's shrinking under the weight of her choices. I never see her again. But I'm not done with Grant. The man who destroyed my marriage is still living in his penthouse, still running his business, still convinced he can buy his way out of any problem. He's wrong, but he doesn't know it yet. I spend a week studying Sheffield Development's financial records, public information, all available through the Secretary of State's office. Grant's empire is built on leveraged debt and municipal contracts. Take away the contracts, and the whole structure collapses. Becca helps me identify every permit, every variance, every special consideration Grant's received from the city over the past 5 years. Then we start making calls. Building department? I'd like to report some irregularities in permit applications for Sheffield development. Fire marshal? I have concerns about safety violations at the downtown construction site. Environmental protection? There might be contamination issues at the East Side project. Each call triggers an investigation. Each investigation requires work stoppages. Each work stoppage costs Grant money he doesn't have. Within 2 weeks, Sheffield Development is burning through cash and facing lawsuits from contractors who aren't getting paid. That's when Grant decides to get creative. I'm leaving Becca's house Thursday night when a black SUV pulls up beside my truck. Victor gets out of the passenger side. The driver stays behind the wheel, engine running. Mr. Sheffield wants to see you, Victor says. Tell Mr. Sheffield I'm busy. This isn't a request. Victor opens the SUV's back door. Inside, Grant Sheffield looks like he's aged 5 years in 2 weeks. His silver hair is uncombed, his expensive suit is wrinkled, and his eyes have the hollow look of a man watching his empire crumble. Get in, he says. I'm good out here. Victor steps closer. Get in, or I'll put you in. I get in. Grant pours whiskey from a flask, doesn't offer me any. You're a persistent son of a witch, I'll give you that. I learn from the best. You think you've won? I know I've won. Grant laughs, but there's no humor in it. You've won what? The right to be alone and broke? The satisfaction of dragging everyone down to your level? I've won justice. Justice? Grant spits the word like it tastes bad. You call destroying people justice? I call consequences justice. The SUV turns onto the highway, heading out of town. We're not going to Grant's office. We're not going anywhere civilized. Where are we going? I ask. Somewhere private, where we can finish this conversation without interruption. The flask comes out again. Grant's hands shake slightly as he pours. You want to know the funny thing about justice, Tom? It's expensive, more expensive than revenge, more expensive than starting over. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done playing games. The SUV turns down a dirt road. Through the windows, I see we're heading toward the old quarry on the outskirts of town. It's been abandoned for 20 years, nothing but deep water and deeper holes. You think you've destroyed me, Grant continues. Shut down my projects, ruined my reputation, cost me millions. But you made one mistake. What's that? You left me alive. Victor turns around in his seat and I see the tool in his hand, not pointing at me, not yet, but there, available. Here's what's going to happen, Grant says. You're going to call off your dogs. Stop the investigations, stop the maltreatment, stop costing me money. In return, I don't have Victor solve the Tom Harrington problem permanently. And if I refuse? Then we find out if you can swim with concrete boots. The SUV stops beside the quarry. Outside, it's dark except for the headlights reflecting off black water. Perfect place to disappear someone. No witnesses, no evidence, no problems. Your choice, Tom. Live and let live, or die and let me live. I look at Victor's tool, then at Grant's desperate eyes. This is what happens when rich men run out of money and options. They remember they're still just animals underneath the expensive suits. You know what your problem is, Grant? Enlighten me. You think money solves everything, but some problems can't be bought off. Every man has a price. Not every man. Some of us actually believe in things. Grant signals to Victor, who raises the tool. Last chance. Before you end me, there's something you should know. What? I've been recording this conversation. Grant's face goes white. You're lying. I pull out my phone, show him the voice recording app that's been running since I got in the SUV. Kidnapping, extortion, threats of homicide, all documented, all backed up to the cloud. Give me the phone. Can't do that, but I can make you a deal. Victor keeps the tool trained on me, but I can see doubt creeping into his expression. Silencing someone who's recording everything is messier than doing it quietly. What kind of deal? Grant asks. You let me walk away, and I don't send this recording to the police. You try to hurt me, and Victor here goes to prison for conspiracy to commit homicide. I could just end you and take the phone. You could try. But phones have this funny feature now, where they automatically upload to multiple servers. End me, and the recording gets released automatically. It's a bluff, but a good one. Grant doesn't know enough about technology to call it. What do you want? He asks. I want you to leave town, sell whatever's left of Sheffield Development, pay your debts, and disappear. This is my city. Was your city past tense? Grant stares at me for a long moment, weighing his options. Rich men hate losing, but they hate prison more. And if I refuse, then tomorrow morning, every news station in the state gets a copy of this recording, along with documentation of your business practices, your threats, your affair with a married employee. You've thought this through. I'm a planner. Grant looks out at the dark water, then back at me. You win. I know. But winning isn't the same as living happily ever after. I'll settle for living. Victor lowers the tool. Grant signals to the driver, who starts the engine. Take him back to town, Grant says. The ride back is silent except for the sound of Grant's empire collapsing in real time. By the time they drop me off at Becca's house, Sheffield Development is finished, and Grant Sheffield is yesterday's news. 3 days later, Grant's Escalade is gone from the penthouse parking garage. His office is cleaned out. His construction sites are sold to pay creditors. According to the newspaper, Grant Sheffield has relocated to Florida to pursue new opportunities. The newspaper doesn't mention that he's basically broke, ruined, and running from debts he can't pay. They also don't mention that his pregnant ex-fiancée is living in a studio apartment above a Chinese restaurant, working as a waitress to pay rent. Some stories don't get happy endings. They just get endings. 6 months later, I'm rebuilding. Not my marriage. That's dead and buried and good riddance. Not my old life. That was built on lies anyway. I'm building something new. Something honest. Harrington Construction is back in business, with a new partner. Jace Morrison decided the catering business was too stressful and joined me full-time. We've got 3 crews now, more work than we can handle, and a reputation for quality that money can't buy. I'm living in a small house near the river. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. No mortgage, no shared property, no legal complications. Just me in a space I control completely. Becca stops by on Saturday mornings to drink coffee and make sure I'm not turning into a hermit. She's dating a teacher named Paul who likes hockey and treats her like she matters. Some people get second chances. I don't miss Madison. I thought I would, but what I actually miss is the idea of Madison, the woman I imagined I was married to, the life I thought we were building together. Reality is better than fantasy anyway. Reality doesn't lie to you. I'm replacing a bathroom floor in a rental property when my phone rings. Unknown number, local area code. Harrington Construction. Tom, it's Madison. I almost hang up. Almost. But curiosity wins. What do you want? I wanted to tell you. The baby isn't Grant's. Whose is it? Silence. Long enough that I think she's hung up. It's yours, Tom. It was always yours. The floor seems to shift under my feet. That's impossible. The timeline. I got the dates wrong. Or maybe I just wanted it to be his. Madison. She's beautiful. Dark hair like yours. Green eyes like mine. Her name is Emma. A daughter. I have a daughter. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know. Because she deserves to have a father who isn't a complete bastard. And Grant? Grant's gone. Left town without a word when I told him the baby might not be his. I sit down on a stack of tile boxes, phone pressed to my ear, trying to process this information. What do you want from me? I ask. Nothing. I just thought you should know. Where are you? Does it matter? It matters if you want help. Another long silence. I'm working at Chen's Garden on Oak Street, living upstairs. It's not much, but Emma's safe and fed. I'll be there in an hour. Tom, 1 hour. I hang up and stare at the half-finished bathroom. My daughter, Madison's daughter, our daughter. The drive to Chen's Garden takes 20 minutes through afternoon traffic. The restaurant is exactly what you'd expect. Red vinyl booths, fluorescent lighting, a fish tank by the register, with one sad goldfish swimming in circles. Madison comes out of the kitchen, wearing a stained apron and exhausted eyes. She looks older, harder, like someone who's learned that life has teeth. You came, she says. You said I have a daughter. You do. She disappears into the back and returns carrying a baby carrier. Inside is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Dark hair, green eyes, tiny fingers wrapped around a stuffed rabbit. Emma, meet your daddy. I reach out and touch her hand. She grabs my finger with surprising strength and looks at me like she's trying to figure out if I'm worth trusting. She's perfect, I whisper. She's yours. Madison sets the carrier on a table and we sit across from each other, like strangers, which I guess we are now. How do I know? I ask. DNA test. Had it done last month when Grant demanded proof. Turns out I was wrong about everything. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was ashamed. Because I destroyed our marriage for nothing. Because I'm an idiot who threw away 18 years for a man who abandoned me the second things got complicated. Emma makes a small sound, something between a sigh and a yawn. Madison picks her up, holds her with the practiced ease of someone who's been doing this alone. What do you want from me? I ask again. I want you to be her father. Not mine, not my boyfriend, not my husband. Just her father. And us? There is no us, Tom. There's just Emma. I watch my daughter sleep in her mother's arms and realize that revenge is a luxury I can't afford anymore. Not when there's someone who needs me to be better than my anger. I want to see her. Regularly. Okay. I want to help support her. Okay. I want to be part of her life. Okay. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. It's just two broken people trying to do right by someone who deserves better than both of us. But it's a start. 2 years later, Emma takes her first steps in my living room. Madison's there too, sitting on my couch, like she has every other Saturday for the past 18 months. We're not friends exactly, but we're not enemies anymore either. We're Emma's parents, which is more important than what we used to be to each other. Did you see that? Madison says, grabbing her phone to record Emma's wobbly progress across the room. I saw it. Emma reaches the coffee table, grins like she's conquered Mount Everest, then promptly sits down hard on her diaper. Again, she demands. Madison laughs, and for a second she looks like the woman I married. Before the ambition and entitlement took over. Before we forgot how to be happy with what we had. She's going to be stubborn, Madison says. Wonder where she gets that. Definitely your side of the family. We watch Emma practice walking, falling, getting up, trying again. She doesn't know that her parents destroyed each other. She doesn't know about betrayal or revenge, or the ugly things adults do when they stop remembering what matters. All she knows is that her daddy fixes things, and her mommy reads her stories, and they both love her more than anything in the world. I should go, Madison says when Emma starts getting cranky. She needs a nap. Same time next week? Same time. Madison gathers Emma's things while I hold my daughter. Emma's gotten heavier, more solid, more real. She smells like baby shampoo and possibilities. See you next Saturday, sweetheart, I tell her. Dada, she says, which might be daddy or might be gibberish, but it's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. After they leave, I clean up the living room and think about the life I've built. It's smaller than what I had before, but it's mine. No lies, no deceptions, no pretending to be something I'm not. Just a man who fixes things for a living and loves his daughter more than his own heartbeat. The house is quiet, except for the sound of Emma's toys scattered across the floor. Tomorrow I'll pick them up. Tomorrow I'll go back to work. Tomorrow I'll keep building this new life one day at a time. But tonight, I sit in my chair and remember the feeling of my daughter's hand in mine. Remember the sound of her laughter. Remember that some things are worth more than revenge. Some things are worth everything. 5 years pass. Emma starts kindergarten at Lincoln Elementary, the same school I attended 30 years ago. She's smart like her mother, stubborn like me, and completely unimpressed by adults who think they know better than she does. Madison and I have learned to co-parent without tearing each other apart. We're not friends, but we're not at war anymore either. We're just two people who share the most important thing in either of our lives. She's remarried now to an accountant named David who treats Emma like his own daughter and Madison like she's fragile. Maybe she is. Maybe we all are. I haven't remarried. Haven't even dated seriously. I'm 45 years old, set in my ways, and perfectly content with a life that revolves around weekend visitations and bedtime stories. Harrington Construction employs 12 people now. We've got more work than we can handle, and a reputation that brings customers from 3 counties over. Not bad for a guy who used to fix toilets for a living. I'm installing kitchen cabinets in a new house when Jace calls with news. Turn on Channel 7, he says. I'm working. Trust me, turn on Channel 7. I find a radio and tune to the news station. The headline story makes me stop what I'm doing. Former real estate developer Grant Sheffield was arrested today in Miami on charges of securities fraud and money laundering. Sheffield, who fled Massachusetts 5 years ago amid financial difficulties, is accused of bilking investors out of $12 million in a fraudulent land development scheme. I turn up the volume. Sheffield faces up to 20 years in federal prison if convicted. His attorney says they will fight the charges vigorously, but sources close to the investigation say the evidence is overwhelming. 20 years in federal prison. Justice served by someone else's hand, in someone else's jurisdiction, for someone else's crimes. Sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. That afternoon, I pick up Emma from school, like I do every Tuesday and Thursday. She runs to my truck with a backpack bigger than she is and a smile that could power the city. Daddy, guess what we learned today? What did you learn, Mrs. Patterson says dinosaurs lived millions and millions of years ago, but Tommy Bridges says his dad says they lived with people like in the movies. What do you think? Emma considers this seriously. I think Tommy Bridges' dad doesn't know about science. Good thinking. We drive to the park and Emma plays on the swings while I push her higher and higher. She screams with joy, demanding to go all the way to the clouds, which is impossible, but that doesn't stop her from asking. Daddy? Yeah, sweetheart. Do you ever get sad? Sometimes. Why? Mommy gets sad sometimes. About before I was born. I slow the swing down so I can see her face. What does she tell you? She says she made mistakes, but then she got me, so it was okay. What do you think about that? Emma drags her feet to stop the swing completely. I think maybe sometimes bad things happen so good things can happen later. That's very wise. I'm 5 now. I know lots of things. You certainly do. That night, after I drop Emma back at Madison's apartment, I drive to the cemetery where my parents are buried. I haven't been here in months, maybe longer. The headstones are simple granite, nothing fancy. Just their names and dates and the words, beloved parents. Hey, Dad, I say to the marble. Thought you should know your granddaughter is smarter than both her parents combined. The wind moves through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, traffic hums on the interstate. I know you always said revenge was a waste of time, that the best revenge was living well. I pull weeds from around the headstone. Turns out you were right. About that and most other things. I tell him about Emma's first day of school, about the kitchen remodel I'm finishing, about the life I've built from the ashes of the old one. Not perfect, but honest. Not everything I wanted, but everything I need. Grant Sheffield's going to prison, I say. 20 years, maybe more. I used to think I wanted to see him destroyed. Now I just feel sorry for him. The cemetery is quiet except for the sound of my own voice talking to ghosts. I'm not angry anymore, Dad. I'm not sure when that happened, but it did. Turns out happiness is better than hatred. Who knew? I stay until the sun sets, then drive home to my small house by the river. Tomorrow, I'll work on the kitchen cabinets. Tomorrow night, I'll read Emma a story over video chat. Tomorrow, I'll keep building this life that nobody can take away from me. But tonight, I sit on my porch and listen to the water flowing past and think about how sometimes the best revenge is simply refusing to be the person your enemies want you to become. Sometimes the best revenge is just living. Emma's 10th birthday party is held in my backyard on a Saturday in September. She's invited 12 kids from school, which means my house is overrun with sugar-fueled chaos and the kind of noise that makes dogs howl 3 blocks away. Madison and David are here too, along with Becca and Paul and their twin boys. This is insane, Becca says, watching Emma's friends play a game that seems to involve screaming and running in circles. This is childhood, I correct her. Same thing. Emma opens presents with the focused intensity of a surgeon, carefully examining each gift before moving to the next. She gets books and games and art supplies and a bicycle from Madison and David that's too expensive, but makes her squeal with joy. My gift is last. A wooden toolbox I made myself, sized for small hands, filled with real tools scaled down for a 10-year-old. Now you can help Daddy fix things, I tell her. Emma runs her fingers over the smooth wood, opens each drawer to examine the tiny hammer, the small screwdriver set, the miniature level. It's perfect, she whispers. Just like you. Later, after the other kids have gone home and Madison and David have taken Emma back to their house, I'm cleaning up paper plates and plastic cups when Becca finds me in the kitchen. She's amazing, she says. I know. You did good, Tommy. We all did good. Madison, David, even me. Sometimes it takes a village to fix what one person broke. Speaking of fixing things, are you happy? I think about the question while I load the dishwasher. Am I happy? It's not a word I use much anymore. Happiness seems too simple for the complicated life I've built. I'm content, I say finally. Content is better than happy. Content lasts longer. That's very zen of you. That's very realistic of me. Becca hugs me goodbye and I finish cleaning up alone. The house feels too quiet after all the chaos, but it's a good quiet. The kind that comes from a life well lived rather than a life half empty. That night, Emma calls to say thank you for the party and the toolbox. Daddy? Yeah, sweetheart. When I grow up, I want to fix things too. What kind of things? Everything. Houses and cars and broken hearts and people who are sad. That's a lot of fixing. That's okay. I have time to learn. After we hang up, I sit in my workshop and run my hands over the tools my father left me. Hammers worn smooth by decades of honest work. Saws that have cut through thousands of boards. Levels that have helped build countless homes. Emma will inherit these someday, along with the lessons they represent. Work hard. Build things that last. Fix what's broken when you can, and walk away from what can't be repaired. Most importantly, know the difference. I'm 50 years old now, older than my father was when he died. I've been married and divorced, betrayed and vindicated, destroyed and rebuilt. I've learned that life is less about what happens to you and more about what you do with what happens to you. Grant Sheffield is serving his sentence in a federal prison in Florida. Madison is remarried and working as a school counselor, helping kids navigate the complexities of growing up in a complicated world. Victor disappeared after Grant's arrest and hasn't been seen since. And me? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. In a workshop that smells like sawdust and possibility, surrounded by tools that know their purpose, building things that matter. Tomorrow I'll start Emma's treehouse. She's been asking for one for months, drawing elaborate plans that include a rope bridge, a telescope, and a secret passage that leads to China. It won't have all those features. Physics has limitations even for 10-year-olds. But it will have everything that matters. Strong boards, solid joints, a roof that won't leak when it rains. It will be built to last, like everything else worth building. And when Emma's children climb in that treehouse someday, they'll be climbing on something their grandfather made with his own hands, something that connects them to a legacy of honest work and careful craftsmanship. That's better than revenge. That's immortality. I turn off the workshop lights and lock the door. Inside the house, everything is quiet and clean and mine. No shared spaces, no compromise, no walking on eggshells around someone else's mood. Just a man and his tools and the satisfaction that comes from fixing things that matter. Outside, it starts to rain.